now tuned in to hiphop.org. The advocate.
Let's start this interview off by telling our readers how the phenomenon of Star and Bucwild came about.
Oh boy, many moons ago, early 90s was when I first launched the brand by way of publishing my own magazine called Around the Way Connections. Since then, I went on to write for various publications, including the Source magazine, where the pen name Bucwild was my name for about, I guess, maybe close to 6 years. So things just started to materialize. I'm a student of Abbott and Costello from way back in the days. So that's how I modeled the brand after Abbott and Costello, and here we are.
Good deal. What would you say is the difference in between the world of Star nowadays than in the early 2000s?
Can't say there's a difference. I think the nation is different. You know, Star has always told you up front where Star is from, which is the beautiful suburbs, what Star is about, which is capitalism. Star has always been straightforward.
Right.
So there's not really anything that's changed by way of Star. Again, the nation has changed. The pulse of society has changed. Everyone is super sensitive. You have pressure groups now that, by way of the internet, can create the illusion that they are 50,000 strong. So I think that's what has changed. I've always brought forth the same message, which is honesty, integrity. I try to entertain and enlighten as much as I can by way of knowledge, wisdom, and experience. I'm a man of a certain age. I'm proud of my age. I'm 46 years old.
Right on. All right, next question. Out of all the New York radio stations that you were on, from Pulse 87, Hot 97, and Power 105, which one do you feel that you were able to really showcase your talents?
Well, I'm not finished with New York radio, so I can't really say at this point that one meant anything more than the other. My journey, as selfish as it is, has been about my growth, been about my understanding of the radio business. I was also syndicated into 11 markets. I wasn't just a local New York radio guy. I was syndicated into Miami, Florida, Augusta, Georgia, Norfolk, Virginia, Hartford, Connecticut. But yeah, the Star of Bucwild show was in 11 markets. So again, New York is not the epitome of radio for me, and it surely isn't anything I'm going to look back on and say that was, that was where we really got it in.
Being in a country where we have freedom of speech, do you think the FCC should monitor radio so closely?
No, I don't. But also, what people seem to confuse about me is that I've never been fined by the FCC. The myth always outweighs the man with me, so I can't really say that I'm the person that should be the advocate for, freedom of speech or the hip-hop generation. I've never been in that firing squad, so to speak. There are other people out there that have had to walk the walk as they talk the talk. So, but I just think that things are pretty much out of control and overly sensitive. But until that particular day comes, I can't say that I have that in-depth knowledge about the FCC. Freedom of speech is something else. I do support freedom of speech wholeheartedly.
All right. Everyone knows that you're a pretty outspoken dude. Do you feel too censored on terrestrial radio?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm outspoken because I'm cut from a different cloth, and I'm probably one of the first people to come forward and say that I grew up in a beautiful setting, which was the suburbs. I went to private schools. Proud of what my mother and father accomplished and were able to provide for me. You know, you in hip hop and even in R&B, you have those that are proud to be ignorant. You have those that subscribe to the keeping it real mentality. And you have very few, if any, people of color that will stand up and say, you know what, I'm not from the fucking ghetto. And I don't give a shit if you're from the ghetto. That doesn't mean you're tough. That doesn't mean you can kick my ass. And in fact, I've whooped a lot of niggas' asses from the projects. So, that's the difference between my rise and what people claim to be outspoken. I'm not some loose cannon. I'm not a person who can't play by the rules. In fact, before even getting on terrestrial radio in 2000, Star and Bucwild hosted a show for a year on MTV called The Beat Suite. I wrote those episodes, and we were excited to do, those episodes Monday through Friday. Each show was an hour. You can see some of those clips on our YouTube channel. So everything with Star Buckwald doesn't have to be rough, rugged, and raw, nor do I have to have an opinion on everything that moves in the quote-unquote urban culture. So my outspokenness, it really is just a result of my life experience, my perception of the world, and my I would say the fact that I'm probably one of the first in the first men of color in the field of entertainment that has come forth and said I am a proud non-believer in the theory of God. You don't find too many people like that. Well, at least not this day and time. Maybe back in the 40s and the 50s, you had so-called Negroes that would stand up and say such a thing, but it hasn't been very common in decades.
You've been known to challenge anything and everything from religion to hip-hop, different genres of music. You even said that Martin Luther King wasn't cracked up, to what he should be. So it's interesting to get your theory on some of now's events. Do you have anything to comment on the UFO sighting in Manhattan, Texas, and China last week? Do you believe that we're being visited?
Well, I deal with the metaphysically given. I don't subscribe to, as I said, the theory of God. So, I can't speak about something that I don't have, a rational understanding of. In the same sense, for those who do subscribe to the theory of God, they should also subscribe to leprechauns, genies, goblins, witches, and elves. So I can't say what is at the core of the so-called UFO sightings, but if there is something out there, and I say again, if there is something out there, I can't say that I would be totally shocked, because I deal with the metaphysically given, and that is what we have right now, our existence. I do believe that mankind is smart enough to discover the origins of his existence. That's something. That's
definitely something to think about.
UFOs.